Yeah. Yeah, it's like another thing he talks about is like in the structure of yourself, kind of build it from the top down. Like, say you start out with good person. This is something he goes on a lot about in his classes that you can watch on YouTube. So you have good person, and then that breaks down into other things like good at your profession, a good husband, a good friend, a good brother, a good son, a good member of society, you know, all those sorts of things. And then say you just take being a good father, and then that breaks down into another bunch of categories, and that means like playing with your kid, teaching your kid, disciplining your kid, feeding your kid, you know, all that stuff. And say you take just feeding your kid, and that breaks down to like, when do you feed the kid? What do you feed the kid?
Right.
And then that goes right down to actually physical action in the world, buying broccoli or growing it and chopping it up and preparing it and getting your kid to eat it. And that involves living. That's when you're actually involved with the world and you're living. But then you kind of have to organize your own psyche. According to him, this would be like a good way to go about it. And part of his products he offers, like the self-authoring program, which I haven't done, but it's like part of the idea is to get people to actually write about their lives and how they would like it to be and how it could get there and all these things. And like it puts the whole world into a functioning order, because say if you're just lost and you don't have you don't take the time to imagine how your life could be if it was really what you wanted it to be, and figuring out what that all meant, and then figuring out how
lesbians.
Yeah, I'm just watching.
Ultimate fantasy.
Go
ahead, sir.
So
what you want your life to be?
Yeah, the two lesbians I'm just watching.
That's at the pinnacle.
Yeah. So then I gotta figure out how I can live now so that it'll get me eventually there. And so then things start to take on a new meaning, because say you talk about just being a good roommate. That's one of those things about being a good person, and then one of those things breaks down to being tidying up after yourself, and that breaks down to actually washing dishes or something. So it's like, you know, then washing the dishes is related to your highest goal in life, and you can have that. Like even when you're washing the dishes, you can see yourself progressing, or when you're, you know, educating yourself, or if you're working the job that you really hated, but now you understand that you need to make the money now, and like, you know, it can give you a new appreciation for things that otherwise appear just completely futile and meaningless.
Yeah, I think writing things down helps me with that, to see like your progress over years, or else you get frustrated thinking that you're doing nothing, just waiting water or whatever. I get frustrated like that too with the band sometimes, because I'm supposed to be fronting this band, pushing this band, and then some days, some weeks, some months I don't do anything and I feel like shit about it. Then I have to look back, what's written down and what we've done. It's like, alright, things are still moving forward, and same with my life, you know, like, what am I doing? Like, I get frustrated with the job that I have. Is this a good enough job? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, where I've come from, what I'm doing now, this is appropriate, you know what I mean? Like, but, yeah, having it written down and having your goals lined up, it helps me conquer that anxiety that I think most people feel on a daily basis, because I get that too, you know, that frustration with money and your job, and you're sitting there and you feel useless because maybe you have the day off and you're like, I got energy, like I should be working probably. And so many people are anxious. You hear it all the time. Anxiety, anxious about what? Because they don't feel like they're doing something, or they're not doing anything, you know? Because when you're doing stuff, you're not feeling anxious. You're doing stuff.
Yeah, you get absorbed in the task if you're doing it right. Well, and this is another problem, I think, and I don't really know, but I think part of the issue is that, again, we were talking about this earlier, everyone just thinks like, oh, I just gotta be happy, I gotta feel good, I gotta feel positive emotion all the time, and that's how I'll be able to tell that I'm having a good life. Yeah. But, like, you know, so you're feeling happy, you're feeling light, you're feeling bubbly and carefree and extroverted, and just
drunk again.
Yeah, drunk again. Yeah, because, you know, impulsiveness. I'm in such a good mood, may as well get drunk. That's my problem with alcohol. It's like, what a rough fucking day. That was some fucking shit.
I know.
I need a drink. Oh my god, I'm having such a great day.
It's not
Let's
so
go
bad.
grab some beers. Anyways, so the problem with, it's like people aren't giving themselves license to feel the myriad or feel the wide spectrum of human emotion. One of those things is anxiety. And unless you're completely fucked, your emotions are part of your... I consider it like part of my sensory intake.
Yeah,
it's like you're perceiving your emotion, you're feeling it. It's something that the world... I mean, it could be just bubbling up from within, but it's not simply put either way, because it's a result of you in the world, like in you. You're having this relationship with life, and then an emotion wells up, and say it's anxiety. It's like, oh, a healthy person is supposed to be feeling that. I probably have anxiety disorder, should be on medication, blah, blah, blah. Now, probably some people should be on medication, but I think it doesn't make sense the amount I see, because, like, God forbid that the anxiety is telling you some important information. Like, you should sit down in a room by yourself and honestly ask yourself,
all day.
Be anxious, experience it, and ask yourself, why am I feeling anxious? Don't just treat it like it's not supposed to be going on. You got to actually find out why you're anxious. Maybe it's because you're not going somewhere in life that you value, or
maybe that's why people that are anxious doesn't help when you say, well, look at all the good stuff you have. That makes them more anxious, probably, because they're like...
Because then they feel guilty for feeling anxious.
My life is so good. Why am I feeling like this?
Yeah, the whole just be happy advice is complete crap. It's like, you fucking piece of shit. Like, you don't know anything. Just be happy.
Yeah.
That's the most fucking shallow, crappy-ass, half-hearted advice that anyone could spit at anybody.
I think there's a huge difference between being grateful and being happy too. I'm not saying be happy. Your life should be happy because you have all these things, but be grateful for Christ's sake. And I think that comes like more on the humble side rather than the happy side. Just being grateful doesn't mean you have a big fucking smile on your face. It means you're just, you know what you have and you're grateful for it. You're thankful. Thankful that you're alive. It doesn't mean you're fucking smiling. You just always know that you're humble and thankful for everything. Rather than fucking smiling away because you have a fucking fireplace.
Yeah. I think there's a whole lot of really deep emotions like gratitude that aren't necessarily like happy or like it's not like that kind of how I described earlier, that bubbly, warm, extroverted kind of positive feeling. I think about something like feeling courageous, which usually means you're facing something that scares you. Or like the feeling of triumphing over pain and suffering, like on a run or in an ice bath or something, or the feeling of like confidence if you're walking around just up straight, and maybe you actually spent the day doing things that freaked you out and you weren't really sure you could do, and you did them, and so you actually are feeling confident because you just did conquer a little bit more of what you didn't know. And like confidence, it's not like you're smiling, just
it's like they're seeking the wrong thing. It's like people are seeking the quick, easy thing. They're seeking the commercial. It's like happiness we think we can be bought from a commercial. It's like you see commercials, you don't even know what they're for. It's just people smiling.
Every ad is someone smiling.
They're so happy with that toothbrush. It is amazing. Like, I'm going to have to get that.
My favorite is people at the gym supposedly like working their asses off with that big smile on their face, just running on the treadmill. It's like, I'm not fucking smiling when I'm running, like, unless I just think about something funny someone said randomly. But it's like, that shit... pumping weights. It's just fucking absolutely manic.
I see it a lot where people go on vacations. You ever notice that everyone goes on vacations to the same fucking places? How many fucking goddamn places are there in the world?
An infinite amount.
And you always hear the same places. Where'd you go? Cuba.
Yeah.
How was it? Not very good. It's like, why'd you go? Commercials?
Yeah.
No, go somewhere other than Cuba, Mexico, Florida. Come on.
It's like you alone could take anyone who's interested, maybe not anyone, to like at least 5 or 6 awe-inspiring waterfalls in Nova Scotia.
Yeah. That they would never even seen.
Yeah.
Not even going to see in Cuba. They're just going to stay on the resort in Cuba and just soak in the sun.
Yeah, I was chatting with this girl for a while from back home, and I was curious about a few things with her, and this is just an example of like different individuals, I think, at the end of the day. But I was just going on about being excited at one point to go see a concert, a live band, and she was just like, I hate concerts. I'll never go to a concert.
My brother says the same thing. He's like, I don't understand. I'll just stay home and listen to the album. I'm like, you're missing the fucking point.
It's the whole point. The whole goddamn point. So anyways, I found that strange, and I can't understand, but that's fair enough. And this other thing was, I think I was chatting with her when I was in BC, and I was sending her some pictures of the mountains, and I was like, this shit is fucked.
Yeah.
It looks like it's painted on the horizon. Like, it doesn't even look real. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh yeah, I don't really care about mountains.
What do you care about?
She's just always just fantasizing about the palm trees and the turquoise beach water and the margarita, whatever, like the whole beach resort thing. And I'm just like, well, fair enough, again, I guess, but Jesus, that's just, it has its own beauty, obviously, you can't deny, but like, come on.
I think we're just
there's that and mountains in BC. Like,
I think we think that humans are so similar because we're the same species, but I almost feel like we're just different species altogether. Like, when someone says they just want to live in Florida around the palm trees, it's like, maybe you're like an alligator, you know, and you should just go there and just live that life that you've been craving. Like, it's almost like you're a fish out of water here. Maybe you should go down there. And like, there's people like us that want to wander around and go see lots of stuff. There's a certain kind of animal that travels around the world, you know. And there's other animals that just like to stay in the cold. And there's other animals that want to go live in cities. And there's lots of other shit going on. Cockroaches. You know, like, you never know.
Yeah,
like,
man.
it's just...
Humans are perhaps as diverse as the rest of the animal kingdom.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I love how when you can see personality traits of people and animals, you know?
Yeah.
Like in that show, The Office, the UK version, the right-hand man kind of looks like a weasel. Like his face and his personality is like so weaselly. And they call him out on the show for it. He's like weasel-faced ass. He's like, he's not an ass-faced weasel. He's like, that's not what I said. He's like, would you rather have a face like an ass or a face like a weasel? It's like, weasel like
Everyone would have to take weasel.
You'd have to, yeah.
I'm not saying it's a good deal either way, but
some people eat like birds.
well, that's the thing too. Yeah, it's like this is something again Peterson said, talking about certain animals. Kind of talking about this. He was doing a breakdown of psychological perspective on the Lion King, and he was like, "Why would Mufasa be king? Why would a lion be the king? Why does that make sense? It's like it's golden like the sun, and it's a predator, and it's at the top of the food chain, and it's just, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And the way their social structures work out, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You wouldn't have like the Worm King or something.
Yeah, that's right.
And so he's talking about, and then he kind of also makes the point again, talking about things like vultures and things that eat carcasses. He's like, they're as fucking creepy as anything could ever get, and it's like they look as creepy as they actually are.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking about. So this has just been like a thought swimming in my head, just kind of like at the surface, coming up from my unconscious. So like I see it popping its head up every once in a while, but I never really tried to say anything about it, or think it through. But it got me thinking about like how much our psychology is perhaps affected by our natural history in the forest, in the trees, just by our own experiences as animals with these other animals back when we were monkeys or further back than that. Like it's everyone, like so many people have a fear of snakes.
Yeah.
And some people theorize that if someone doesn't, they would just have to be attacked once before they had a complete fucking phobia of snakes. Because how many monkeys have been eaten by snakes? And so, I just got thinking about that. Like, you know, you definitely think a certain thing when you see something like a worm or a parasite or a bug like that, versus like seeing a cat or a rodent with its furry body and its old naked skin tail. It just puts you off. Although some people think rats are adorable, but
not me.
Yeah, I don't think that at all. It's just ridiculous. I mean, things fucking. You gotta think historically, that would be something that's carrying disease most likely, and eating all your stuff and fucking up your house. And
I guess somebody's gotta like them, you know, out of everybody in the world. Somebody's gotta like them.
Oh yeah, you're
extremes.
Right. Back to the other point about people being different.
What's that show? It's like people eating weird stuff, and there's one guy that eats roadkill. Oh, it's so bad. Like pick up like a raccoon on the side of the road, it's like 3 days old, and he's like